He walked past her every morning like she didn't exist. The shine of his shoes, the sound of his guards, and the echo of his voice filled the mansion, yet none of it ever reached her heart. Because the man she cleaned for, the billionaire everyone admired, was her father, a father who had forgotten his own blood. She was hired as a cleaner when she was just 16. The house was enormous. Marble floors, golden walls, and chandeliers that hung like frozen stars. She came every day, wiping the same floors where she once crawled as a child. There were no photos of her anymore. Her presence had been erased long before she stepped through those gates again. When her mother died, she thought maybe her father would come. Maybe he'd remember the little girl who used to wait for him by the window. But years passed in silence. He remarried, built a new empire, and had a new family. Still, she couldn't hate him, because the heart never forgets what it was born to love. The first time she saw him again, she froze. He walked into the hallway, surrounded by assistants and guards, talking on the phone, his voice filled with power. She wanted to call out, "Dad," but her tongue trembled. Instead, she bowed her head and said softly, "Good morning, sir." He didn't even glance her way. Every morning became a test of strength. She would polish the stairs while listening to his laughter echoing through the mansion. She'd pick up his cup from the table, still warm with his touch, and whisper to herself, "At least I'm close to him, even if he doesn't know." Sometimes she'd sneak into his office late at night to clean. On his desk stood a frame, a photo of his new family smiling at the camera. But behind that frame, hidden in a drawer, she found an old photograph. It was torn at the corner, faded with time, but she recognized it instantly. It was her, sitting on his shoulders, both of them smiling under a cheap paper umbrella on a rainy day. She sat there for minutes, tears falling on the wood, whispering, "You still keep it." That small piece of memory was enough to keep her alive. She didn't want money. She didn't want a name. She just wanted one look of recognition. One word, "Daughter." One evening, a storm broke over the city. Rain poured down in heavy sheets, lightning flashing through the glass walls. Everyone rushed out of the mansion, except her. She stayed back to shut the windows, wiping the water off the marble floor before it could stain. As she worked, her father came downstairs, phone pressed to his ear, shouting orders. He slipped on the wet floor, and for the first time, she reached out, catching him before he fell. Their eyes met. For a brief second, something shifted. He saw the same eyes, her mother's eyes, the ones he once called beautiful. He stared, confused. "You," he began, but the words never finished. She quickly let go, whispering, "I'm sorry, sir. I should have dried the floor sooner." He nodded stiffly, still lost in her face, and walked away. That night, she cried silently in the servants' room, holding the photo she had found. She realized that maybe he wouldn't remember today, maybe not tomorrow, but deep down, somewhere inside him, her reflection had touched something old and real. Weeks passed. Her health began to weaken. The long hours and sleepless nights took their toll. Yet she came every day, still cleaning, still hoping. Then one morning, the mansion's manager came to her with a letter. "Mr. Khan said you're dismissed," he said coldly. Her heart sank. "Dismissed?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "Did I do something wrong?" The man shrugged. "He didn't say. Just said your work here is done." She left the mansion that day, standing outside the massive gates she once entered as a child, holding her father's hand. But this time, she walked away alone, her tears mixing with the rain. A month later, the billionaire found that old photo missing from his drawer. He asked every servant, every guard, but no one knew where it had gone. That night, while driving through the city, he saw a small girl selling flowers at a traffic signal. For some reason, he rolled down his window. Her eyes, those same eyes, reminded him of someone he'd forgotten too long ago. When he reached home, he opened his safe, searching through old papers, and found a birth certificate. His breath caught. The name, Aisha Khan. The same name written on the file of the girl he had fired. He froze. His own stepdaughter. The one who worked in his house for years. The one he never looked at twice. The guilt hit him like thunder. He sent men to find her, but it was too late. She had left the city, no address, no trace. Only a note remained in his office drawer, folded beside the missing photo. It read, "Greater than, I never wanted your money, Father. I only wanted your love. Maybe in another life, you'll know me, not as your maid, but as your daughter." He read those lines over and over again until the ink blurred in his tears. Since that day, he kept that note framed on his desk. The billionaire who once ruled over everything now sat alone every night, staring at the doorway, waiting for a girl who would never walk through it again. And somewhere far away, under a small rented roof, she prayed for him, not for forgiveness, but for peace. Because sometimes, love is stronger than memory, and silence louder than any apology. Heartbreak.